Hey everybody, it's Nicole Bonner with Thrive Chiropractic Coaching. How are you a student or a new chiropractor wanting to open your own practice, but you're really nervous about where you're going to get the money from? So there are a multitude of places that you can get money to open your practice. First and foremost, though, when we teach people to open practices, we teach them to open in a very low overhead, high revenue. Low overhead, high revenue. What does that mean? That means that by the time you launch your practice, day one of practice, you have a bunch of new patients so that on day one and day two, you're already revenuing a bunch of money, right? So we want to keep the overhead low. You can build a beautiful practice and serve a large number of people within a very low overhead, really small space. I started out in about 1,000 square foot, grew that practice to over 600 office visits a week. So you can see a lot of people in a short space or a small space if you're really creative. Where to get the money to do what you need to do, because you do need some money, right? You're going to need some money to open a practice, even if it's really low overhead. Well, number one, your first option is traditional banks and institutions. I don't think this is your best option. It's going to be a little bit difficult to get a loan from a traditional bank or an institution just coming out of school, especially if you're not working, you don't have a whole lot of credit, and you already have $200,000 or $300,000 worth of student debts. It's going to be difficult. If you do get a loan from a traditional bank or an institution, you're going to be paying exorbitant fees and exorbitant interest rates. Interest rates are already high right now, but you're going to pay exorbitant rates because you're high risk. So if you get the gist, the higher risk you are, the higher interest rate you're going to pay. So if you were to take out, for example, $100,000 loan at 7% for over 15 years, you'd be paying back $162,000. So you're paying just $62,000 in just interest. I can open a whole practice with that $62,000, right? And so the cost of getting a loan from a traditional bank or a traditional lending institution might not be the best avenue to go. There are better avenues. Number one, asking family members who have money. This could be people like your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, aunts and uncles. These are great people to go to for a loan for a number of reasons. Number one, they already know you. They're already invested in you. They already know that you're good for the money. They already know that you're good, for the payback, if you will. Number two, it's awesome because it's going to be a win-win. They're going to be able to give you a lower rate loan, and they're going to be making some money. They don't even have to pick up their finger, and they're making passive income. So maybe you get a loan from them for 3% or 4% or 5%. So let's say your aunt loans you $10,000 for not doing anything. She's maybe walking away with an additional $2,000 or something like that over time, depending on how long it takes you to pay her back, right? But it's a really great opportunity, and I love keeping it in the family. This is one of the Rockefeller principles and how they created generational wealth for their families. They did not go to traditional banks and traditional institutions to borrow money. They borrowed from themselves. And so the next great place to take a look for money is friends with money. You probably have a multitude of friends who have significant amount of money, and they're looking for places to invest. And so once again, you already have this relationship built. They already know you. They're already cheering for you. So it's a really great place to look for money to open your practice. You can look for private investors, people like other chiropractors, people like myself. I've been in practice for 23 years. And just, I have a bunch of money that I'm looking to invest this money right now. And so one of the things that we've been doing over the last year is helping students and new chiropractors open practices by lending them money. And once again, it's a win-win situation. Our interest rates are much lower than going to a bank. And for the right person, it's a great, passive investment for me as well. You can also, if this is a second career for you, or if you have a IRA or 401k, you can take any money that you have in those retirement accounts. You can roll them into a self-directed IRA or a self-directed 401k without any penalty. And so you can borrow against that. You can borrow in a self-directed account. You can borrow against that account and kind of just pay yourself. It works just like a checkbook. You can borrow from your whole life insurance policy. That's another avenue to go. Once again, you're just borrowing from yourself. And you can also, I just found this out too, you can actually borrow if you have an HSA, you can borrow against your HSA. So there are these are just like avenues that are coming off the top of my head. There's so many different places to borrow money from. There are so many different places to raise funds for your practice. So get with us. We are happy to help you with that. It's something that we do in the Jumpstart program of Thrive Chiropractic Coaching, amongst other things. But it is one of the things that we teach you how to do. We teach you how to raise money for your practice so that you are not in bondage and bound to these financial institutions, paying a ton of money and interest and fees and all that kind of stuff.